press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello dear students, we were discussing about the lesson that is working of institutions, right? So with this we did discuss about what is institution, like how do they work, right? Apart from that we did come across one of the story there, right? So now today let us know about the political executive. Who are this political executive? How do they work? So let us know about all these things. So in the previous class, okay, so we did discuss about one of the story, right, related to the office memorandum. So when it comes to that, we came across a person called as, or we found that the person who signed the document, okay, he did not take the decision. No doubt he did not take the decision, but definitely he did sign there, right? The office memorandum was signed by some person, right? So who is that person? So it is like Prime Minister, right? Prime Minister is the person who accepted it. No doubt he was not involved. He did not have any role, like, or say like the role whatever played by the Prime Minister in taking a decision, okay, like there was some role played by him, not completely but a bit role. So we could see that the decision, okay, like whatever he did take, did he take it on everything on his own? Was the decision taken by him on his own? No, definitely not. It was with the Council of Ministers, right, with the support of Lok Sabha especially, okay. So with the support of Lok Sabha, Prime Minister did take this decision. He gave his consent, right? So in this sense he was only executing the wish. So now when we say political executive, see, we did discuss about the three organs, right? Very first is legislative, right? Legislature. The second one is legislature, the executive and the judiciary. So when it comes to union legislature, we did discuss about the parliament here, right? So Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, how the decisions are made. So all these things we did discuss. Now execution. Whenever a law is made, whenever a thing has been decided, that has to be executed by some person, right? So Prime Minister is one such person who will be executing the laws or the decision taken by the parliament. So at different levels, okay, government, like when it comes to different levels of government, we find few people carrying out all the functions related to the governmental work. So now there are few people who do take the decision, okay, like, or who support the decision. May not be like they are the only person who will be taking the decision, but somebody else will be taking it and they will try to exercise it, or say they execute it, right? So who take day-to-day decisions, but they do not exercise supreme power. Now Prime Minister, as we did discuss, okay, so he had given his decision, or say he gave his consent, but does it mean like he is having the supreme authority, or say sovereign? So can we consider him as having all the sovereign function? Definitely not, right? So here see, the functionaries, whatever people, like a group of people do carry out, who do not take any, like they are not the person who will be taking all the decision, but they try to execute the decisions already taken. So these people will be called as the executive, and they are called executive because they are in charge of execution of the policies. So whatever policies made, okay, in the parliament, so the consent given by the president, okay, whatever they have done, that will be executed by some person. So that's the reason we call them as the executives here. So when it comes to government, okay, when we talk about government, it will be the executive itself. Okay, so they execute the decisions taken by the parliament, and hence we call them as the executive. The next is political and permanent executive. So there are few differences. Okay, let us know who are the political executives and permanent executives. See, when it comes to the democratic nation, there are two categories made here. One is the group of people, or those elected by the people for a specific period. So we do vote, right? We do elect a few people. through votes. So like when we vote them, we elect them, right? So those people, and those are the people, political leaders who take the big decisions. Okay, they take the big decision. They fall under one category. And the second category are the people, those who are appointed on a long-term basis. Okay, for a long-term basis. It is not like, say when it comes to election, the term will be 5 years, right? So we keep choosing different ministers here or different people here. So those people, okay, political leaders, they do fall under one category. The second category is the permanent leaders. Okay, they are called as civil servants. And those persons working in civil services will be called as civil servants. So all the civil works, the people who carry out, and they will be not having any fixed term there. They are permanent leaders, they do call, okay, or say permanent executives. So those people will be called as civil servants. So obviously they will be remaining in the office for the period, though even the ruling party changes. As you all know, the ruling government, the majority, when they win the majority, they come to the power, right? They will be called as ruling party. Though the ruling party keep changing, even then these leaders, okay, these are the permanent leaders or permanent executives, they do not change here. So these officers, they do work under political executive and they do assist them for day-to-day work. So these civil servants, what exactly they do? They come together. Okay, they will be assisting, because these people, what they do is like they collect all the information and they will be discussing with the leaders. Okay, so now why does this political executive have more power than non-political power, like political executive? See, now when it comes to civil servants, they do fall under non-executive, non-political, right? But yes, the power, okay, more power is given to the political leaders. What is the reason? The reason is this: the civil servant, usually they are more educated and they will be called as an expert. Excuse me. So what these experts will do, they will be, say what happens, they'll be having all the knowledge. Okay, they'll be having all the knowledge. What these people do, they assist the ministers here. Okay, they assist the ministers. They'll be having each and every knowledge. Okay, compared to the ministers, they will be more intelligent. But only the ministers or the political leaders, those for whom we elect, okay, they will be having more power compared to the other person. The reason is, see what happens, people are the they are having supreme authority, right? People are having supreme authority because they are the one who will be choosing these leaders. And when they choose those leaders, they expect them to give certain decisions. So what happens, people do believe, or people do totally depend upon the leaders. Okay, they totally depend upon the leaders. They always want to hear the decisions, and they will be following only those decisions given by the ministers rather than the civil servants. That's the reason civil servants, though they are very, very intelligent, though they are having knowledge about each and everything, ministers are given more importance. The reason is people, okay, because they are the supreme, they are having the supreme authority, they will be the decision maker. And yes, the ministers whom they choose, they want these ministers to be answerable and even accountable. So ministers take the final decision. What happens, they do discuss with these non-political leaders, nothing but the civil servants, they do discuss each and everything with them, but the final decision will be taken by the ministers itself. Okay, they will be taking the decision because people totally believe them and people want them to be accountable and people believe whatever they say. That is the reason the ministers will be given more importance. And ministers, he is not an expert, but what he will be doing, he will be taking all the advice from the expert. As I told you, the civil servants, they are having more knowledge and they are very intelligent. They will be called as an expert here. So what these people do, the ministers, they totally depend upon these experts itself. Now ministers are not experts, but they totally depend upon the experts, and experts will be giving more options. It is like, see, some certain things has to be done in the particular area or in a particular place. Now they give many options. Now it will be the minister who will be choosing the best one. Okay, so experts will not be deciding you do this. No, they'll not order, they'll not tell anything. They'll just give the give many options to the minister, and minister will be the one who will be choosing the best for the people there. So ministers, they they decide considering all the objectives. That is what I said. So they do hear every option given by the expert and checking which is the best objective, which can reach the objective, which can gain us the best objective. Those things will be accepted. So those who understand takes the decision and not the expert. So the one, nothing but the minister is very close with the people, right? He'll be knowing what exactly they need, what is their demand, etc. And once he fulfills all these things, or once he feels that the option can fulfill all those things, then definitely he'll be taking the decision. So there are routes. Okay, routes are given by an expert, but the destination will be chosen by the minister here. So nothing but the expert will be doing his part of work. No doubt, he'll be doing his part of work. But yes, whatever decision has to be taken, that will be taken by the this minister himself, because minister is the one who is chosen by the people. So that is the reason he'll be many routes will be given. Expert gives many routes, but destination will be chosen by the minister himself. So when it comes to political and permanent executive, see, political executives are the one who are the ministers. They are the first category people. And they will be totally depending upon the people, will be depending upon them, and people want them to be accountable. And permanent executives are the one who will be working as a civil servant, and they will be called as an expert, and they will be assisting the political executive. So today now, when it comes to this, today let us know about the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. Okay, so do you know anything about Prime Minister? Maybe you know that, you'll be knowing the name, etc., right? Who is that, these, etc. But yes, Prime Minister is the most, important political institution. Okay, compared to others, he is the most important political person. But yet, he is not directly appointable. Okay, he is not directed, or see, through election, he is not appointed directly. It is the president who will be appointing the Prime Minister. So now, can president just appoint whomsoever he likes? No. Now, the president, there is a process. Okay, the president has to appoint the leader. When it comes to he has to check the majority. Okay, the leader from the majority party, the majority that has won. Okay, which has got the majority vote. Okay, from that, the most accepted political leader, or say most respected political leader, will be chosen as a Prime Minister. And yes, president appoints the leader of the majority party, and even he commands a majority in the Lok Sabha as Prime Minister. Now, when it comes to parties with alliances, or say when it comes to coalition and all, if at all majority, it depends. Now, it has to be decided by the president. And yes, when it comes to this, the Prime Minister is not having a fixed tenure. Okay, do remember, he is not having any fixed tenure. He will be continuing his power as long as he remains the leader of the majority party, and unless and until somebody leaves and he loses his majority, then he has to leave the place. So once the Prime Minister is appointed, with the help of the Prime Minister, what President will be doing? He will be appointing the other leaders, nothing but other ministers here. So now the Prime Minister will be appointing the other ministers, and yes, with the help, the President will be appointing, but Prime Minister will be choosing, or he will be advising. So the ministers are usually from the party or the coalition that has the majority in the Lok Sabha, first thing, and the Prime Minister is free to choose ministers as long as they are members of Parliament. So as long as they are the members of Parliament, the President can choose such a person. Okay, such person can be chosen as a minister. What if he is not a member of any of the house? Definitely he too can be appointed, but yes, within 6 months he should see that he becomes a member of any of the house here. Okay, so now when it comes to this, like council of ministers, okay, these council of ministers are officially appointed, right, and they will be like includes the ministers, okay. Now name for the body that includes all the ministers here, council of ministers we call it, okay, we call it as council of ministers. So who is council of ministers? A group of ministers, okay, appointed by the president with consultation or with advice of the prime minister. So now there are again like parts there. Very first is cabinet of ministers. See, they are having the highest rank or higher rank we can call, and they meet like every time so that they can discuss about certain things here. And there are 20 people, okay, 20 ministers who will be discussing about day-to-day transactions, and like they will be the top level leaders of the ruling party, and yes, they will be in charge of all the major decisions and ministries we call, okay, and they will be making these decisions in the name of council of ministers. And yes, the inner ring of the council of this is also called as the inner ring, okay. Now for the cabinet of ministers, okay, those are called as inner ring, okay, cabinet. So like when it comes to this, they are also called as inner ring, and there are 20 people. They are the higher level, okay, or say the highest level leaders here, okay, from the political leaders, or say the group. So the next is ministers of state with independent charge, the second part when it comes to this. So here they are usually in charge of smaller ministers, and they participate in the cabinet meetings only when specially invited. So if at all the cabinet ministers, they invite them for some special discussions, then these people can attend. Next is ministers of state. They are attached to and required to assist cabinet ministers. So what these ministers will be doing, they will be assisting the cabinet of ministers. See, as it is not practical, do you think so it would be practical to meet regularly and discuss about the ongoings every day? No, right? So like so what these people do, the decision, okay, the decisions are always taken by the cabinet ministers, and the democratic form of government is always in some of the countries, what these people do, the democratic form of government will be called as cabinet, okay, cabinet form of government. Usually there are many democratic nations, right? So what they do, as all the decisions, see, every day they cannot meet and they cannot take the decisions, right? But yes, whenever they meet, they take up all the things that has to be discussed, and they come up with the decisions. So those decisions taken by the cabinet will be accepted, and again it will be, most of the time, democratic nation will be called as cabinet form of government. And do remember, no minister can, though like they are having different opinions, but even then they have to abide by, or they have to respect whatever is decided by the cabinet ministers, okay. So the group, okay, the cabinet ministers, what we call, whatever they have decided, that has to be accepted and even respected. So here they cannot criticize, okay, do remember, they cannot criticize here. So when it comes to criticism, whatever decision given by the cabinet, okay, that has to be respected, and yes, definitely they cannot go against, they cannot criticize those things. So every minister is having a secretariat, okay. So as I told you, the experts, okay, those will be working as secretariats here, and like they are even called as civil servants. So these secretaries provide all the necessary information and even the decisions to be taken by the ministers, but ultimately it would be the ministers who will be taking the decision here. So the team, okay, cabinet, like it is working as a team here. It is an inner cell, right? So it will be working as a team, and as a team it consists of the secretariat here, okay. So the cabinet secretariat also will be there to assist them, to help them in the decision making. So this includes even like many senior civil servants here, okay. So again, that is what is being said. Now let us know about powers of the prime minister. See, in constitution it is like the exact this powers and all are not mentioned, but yes, few of the powers what he exactly can do, like the prime minister, that has been given. Let us know about those things. Very first is, prime minister is the head of the government. So as we all know that Prime Minister works as the head of the government, and yes, he'll be having certain powers here. Very first is he chairs the cabinet meeting. Nothing but for the cabinet meeting he'll be the chairperson, and whatever he decides, whatever is decided by him, that has to be abided by. And he coordinates the work in different departments. Obviously, he being in a higher rank, he has to coordinate with the work of the departments, and his decisions are final. Whatever he decides, that is to be considered as a final decision. So he exercises general supervision of different ministries. Even general supervision, apart from the coordination, all the general working he'll be taking care of, and he works as a leader. Okay, all ministers work under his leadership, because he'll be working as a leader. All the ministers will be respecting him, and obviously they have to accept whatever he says. So the Prime Minister distributes and redistributes work to the ministers. Obviously, whatever work we are having, if we divide it and allot it to each and every minister, the work will be very easy. That is the reason the works will be allotted, or say it will be divided among the people here, so that they can work very well. So the next is the Prime Minister, he has also the power to dismiss ministers. If at all the ministers are not hearing him, or they are not respecting the words given, or whatever the promises they were supposed to fulfill, if they are not doing that, or they are misbehaving, definitely the Prime Minister can dismiss such minister. And do remember, if at all the Prime Minister quits, if he himself quits his place, all the ministry gets quit. Okay, because that is the power of the Prime Minister. So though cabinet is powerful, as we have said, cabinet is the one which will be taking all the decision, because it is the inner cell and it will be working as a team here. Though cabinet is working as a team, or say the importance given to the cabinet is more, but even then whatever decision taken by the Prime Minister, okay, that will be more powerful compared to the cabinet. So because who will be heading, or who will be chairing, who is called as the chairperson of this cabinet, definitely it would be the Prime Minister himself. That's the reason, when it comes to the decision given, it would be the Prime Minister. So the power is more when it comes to the Prime Minister. So nowadays even the power has increased. Okay, so Prime Ministerial form, there are few parliamentary democracies, and few are prime ministerial form of government. So Prime Minister, he controls the cabinet and parliament through the party. So what he'll be doing, he'll be controlling this and even the parliament. So that is the reason he is having more power. So what he does, he controls both the parliament and even the cabinet through his party. So now even for this particular controlling, even the media helps them. Okay, even the media helps him. Okay, because it creates a competition between the politics and even the political leaders, or say the parties. Okay, and even top leaders of parties. So there will be a huge competition. The media will be doing this, right? Media is called Narad Muni. Hope you people know that. So those are the people who will be creating these competition between the top leaders. That's the reason there will be a support for the Prime Minister. Now, when it comes to this, the concentration of powers will be in the hands of the Prime Minister. See, there were the old leaders, okay, very strong leaders, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, okay, or say Jawaharlal Nehru. So all these people, they had all this power. They have used it in a thorough manner. Okay, they were the strong people who knew how to use their power. Okay, it is not the powers that has been given. It is the person who will be using it. Now, for example, Narendra Modi. So how he is working for the improvement, for the development. So those things has to be checked. Okay, so that is how the leaders would be working here. So in recent years, the rise of coalition parties has imposed certain constraints. So because of the coalition, okay, two governments, they collide, right? So when it comes to these coalition, the powers will be a bit less. Okay, so the Minister of Coalition Government cannot take decision as he likes, but yes, he has to accommodate different groups and factions in his party, and he has to should have both like when it comes to alliance parties or even you consider the coalition party, they have to decide asking or taking the opinion of whole group. So he also has to heed to the views and positions to the coalition. So definitely he has to work according to the coalition, what all terms and conditions will be there when it comes to coalition of government. So they have to work accordingly. They cannot go against those terms and conditions. So that is all about the Prime Minister, like powers of the Prime Ministers. Now let us know about another head. Okay, so he is called the President. See, President, as the Prime Minister is the head of the government, President is the head of the executive, head of the state here. So when it comes to head of the state, okay, President is having highest rank here. He is considered to be the first citizen, and what all works he'll be doing? He has to appoint the Prime Minister, he has to appoint the Council of Ministers, he has to appoint the judges of the courts and all, right? But what exactly he'll be doing? See, when it comes to this, yes, in political system, the head of the state exercises only the nominal powers here, and yes, the president works as though he is the queen of queen. The way queen works in like England, in the same way the president works here. So the functioning or supervision will be same or it is alike. Okay, so the president is not elected directly by the people, as we all know, like he is not directly elected. Definitely the elected members, okay, of the MPs, like a member of parliament or say the member of and the member of legislative assembly, they do elect the president here. Okay, president is not elected by the people. They will not choose, we cannot choose the president. The president will be chosen by the members of parliament, and even the what I can say is both they decide. Okay, the MLAs and the MPs, they come together and they decide who should be the president here. So when it comes to the president, yes, a candidate standing for president's post, he has to get a majority of votes to win the election, and yes, this ensures that the president can be seen to represent the entire nation. Definitely he has the power to represent the entire nation. And yes, so when it comes to the president, he can never claim the direct popular mandate just like the Prime Minister. He is a nominal executive, and yes, all the governmental activities that take place in the nation, that will be taken in the name of the president itself. For example, the major laws. See, when we were discussing about the parliament, we came across certain things saying that the bill will be passed in both the house. The discussion will be done. Any changes has to be brought. They will be bringing those changes. But if at all the bill has to become a law, definitely there should be an assent of the president. Nothing but the president has to give the permission, or like he has to sign it. Then only the bill will be becoming the law here. So in the name of him, all the major laws will be made. All major appointments are also made in the name of the appointment. For example, the appointment of the Prime Minister, the appointment of the Council of Ministers, the appointment of the judges of High Court and Supreme Court, all these things will be done. Even the ambassadors, for that matter. So how about like the treaties and all? See, international treaty, nothing but agreement between two nations. Okay, so even those will be taken care by the president. In the name of the president itself, all these things will be done. So president is the supreme commander when it comes to defense. Even he is the supreme commander. So now, is he working as an independent person here? I mean, like, see, if at all he has to appoint the Prime Minister, or say he is appointing any other persons, will he be doing it independently? No. See, when it comes to the president, see, when it comes to this Council of Ministers, or the powers, okay, the president exercises all the powers on the advice of the Council of Ministers, first thing, and he has to reconsider the advice of the Council of Ministers, and yes, if at all he is acting on his own, then he is bound to see that it never be a controversy to the Council of Ministers. And yes, whenever a bill is passed by the Parliament, it is the President who will be assenting it. Imagine if at all he can again send it back, saying that, or he can delay to give an assent. He may send it back to the Parliament for other discussion, or the second discussion. If at all the Parliament sends back the bill saying that they have discussed it, then it is mandatory for the President to sign it. So it is he is depending upon other people. Now appointment, see, on his own, what he can do is only the appointment of the Prime Minister. But when it comes to the President to appoint the leader of the majority party or the coalition, obviously again depends upon the majority of votes, right? So only that thing. But yes, he will be the person who will be appointing the Prime Minister. Now there he need not take any consult of any other person. But to appoint the Council of Ministers, again he has to take the permission or say advice of the Prime Minister. How about the judges? Again, when it comes to court and the judges to be appointed, those judges will be appointed only on the advice of the Chief Justice. Now you see the President exercises discretional power only when there is a coalition government. But once there is a majority, okay, if there is a majority, then definitely the President will not be having any discretionary power. So the President can ask the newly appointed Prime Minister to prove majority support in the Lok Sabha. If at all there is no majority in the coalition and all, then he has to ask, he can choose the Prime Minister and he can ask for proving the majority. So in many countries, the President is having the more power. Example, US, the recent election took place, right? So see, when it comes to this, the President will be working as the head of the state government. So he will be having a fixed tenure of 4 years and completes even if his party does not have a majority of the Congress. And do always remember, in few of the nation, when President is having so much of power, he himself will be choosing his ministers and the tenure will be for 4 years. So but when it comes to a country like ours, okay, we follow the British model, that is parliamentary form of government, and that's the reason President is having his importance, no doubt. He is having his own power, no doubt, but it shall not exceed more. Okay, so now the final law, thing, that is the judiciary. See, it is very important. Nowadays, lawmaking, laws, etc. are having more importance compared to the engineering, doctors, etc. because each and everyone is controlled by the judiciary itself. Judiciary is having the highest rank. Okay, so and see, when it comes to the judiciary, it is an independent organ. Okay, it never depends upon any other person. No government, no executive, no, all these executive heads can disturb these people. Now, let's go back to the story. That is the office memorandum story. While discussing there, it was at the end of the, all these fights and all, it was the Supreme Court that did give the decision, right? The Supreme Court had got all the powers. They said that yes, whatever decision, whatever the recommendation given by the Mandal Commission, that has to be considered. But there were certain conditions put by the Supreme Court saying that you have to bring certain changes. That is different. But again, when it comes to the judiciary, it is working independently. First thing, no government can poke their nose. Second thing, and yes, see, if at all, now the Supreme Court, it did come into the picture, right, for the office memorandum. Now imagine if there was no Supreme Court, who would take care of those things? And suppose if the Supreme Court was there, but it did not have any power to take any decision, what would happen? Or say, even if the power was there and no one trusted the Supreme Court, what would have happened? And if even it has given a fair judgment, if those who appealed against the government order did not accept the judgment, what would happen? So 4 scenarios. Imagine you do not have any Supreme Court. So it would be very difficult, right? It would have been very difficult. First thing. Second, Supreme Court was there, but it did not have any power. definitely it would not work well. There would be lots and lots of differences, fights in the nation. Second thing, if the power was given but nobody trusted Supreme Court, it would be very difficult to make people, or make the people win the trust, or winning to win the trust itself would be very difficult. Imagine everything was there, but these people, the one who went against the government, they are not ready to accept whatever Supreme Court has said. They want to go for an appeal. What would have happened? So let us know about these things. See, when it comes to Supreme Court, we can consider the judiciary, or say the Supreme Court, to be very judiciary. Supreme Court comes under that itself. So the judiciary is an independent one, and there is a hierarchy. Okay, like when it comes to this, it is very essential for the democracy. See, when it comes to the courts in the nation, all put together, we call it as judiciary. Now the highest rank, or the apex court, it is the Supreme Court. Then it is the high court. For every state it is high court. There are high courts, like in India there are almost 34 high courts, wherein one high court is accepted, or it is two states are sharing one high court, or sometimes even there are two high courts in one particular state. And at the district level, we have district courts and other local courts. So these are this is how the courts are there, and it is totally integrated judiciary. So the Supreme Court controls the judicial administration. So Supreme Court is the one which will be controlling the judicial administration. So whatever Supreme Court does, that has to be abided by all other courts. Now it is the one who will be solving the disputes between two states, dispute between an individual and the state, dispute between a citizen and the government, citizen of the country, or two or more state governments, or even the governments at the union and state list. So imagine if there is a fight between two citizens, if they are going for an appeal, definitely Supreme Court would be taking the decision, or even other people. Okay. Again, apart from that, yes, the decisions whatever given by the Supreme Court will be binding upon each and every person. If there is a dispute between one citizen and the government, again that would be decided. Between two governments, again this Supreme Court or other courts will be deciding, and even appeal will be considered by the Supreme Court itself, and whatever decision given by the Supreme Court, that will be abided by all the other person. So independence of judiciary means that no council of ministers, no executive, no government will be poking their nose in the work of the judiciary. So judiciary is totally independent. It is not working for any of the government. Many of them are having this confusion, or they feel that okay, as so and so government has come, the decision is no, nothing as such. Judiciary is totally independent. No government will be forcing them to work according to their will and wish. According to the government's will and wish, no, it will be the will and wish of the judiciary. So all modern democracies, they are having courts that are independent of the legislature and the executive. See, the judges of the Supreme Court and even the High Court are appointed by the President with the help of the Prime Minister and the Chief Justice. And the Chief Justice is the one who will be at a higher rank, or say the senior most person from the Supreme Court, judge. Okay, so that person will be hired as a Chief Justice here. And when it comes to Chief Justice, yes, senior, okay, and he will be helping them to hire all these Supreme Court and High Court judges, and once they are appointed, no person can remove them. So a judge can be removed only by an impeachment, okay, passed separately by 2/3 members of the two houses of the parliament, and till then nothing as such has happened. So the judiciary in India is also one of the most powerful in the world, and even they can declare invalid any of the law of the legislature or the actions of the executive, whether at the union level or at the state level, if they find such a law. See, imagine any of the law made by the state government or say the central government, if at all that is against any other law, or say constitutional provisions, definitely that would be asked to be cancelled by the courts. So it is the court, it is the Supreme Court which will be asking the parliament to bring in changes in the law. If at all the laws given by the parliament are against the provisions of the constitution, definitely it would be the Supreme Court which will be asking them to bring the changes. The powers and the independence of the Indian judiciary allow it to act as the guardian of the fundamental rights, and even the courts have given several judgments and directives to protect public interest. So through public interest litigation, okay, if at all a group of people or one person on behalf of the public interest, on behalf of the interest of the public, if he is filing a petition, then that will be considered as a public interest litigation, and that has to be entertained by the court, okay, the Supreme Court. So to prevent the misuse of the government's power to make decisions, like the courts intervene here, okay, and even the judiciary enjoys a high level of confidence among the people. People do believe the judiciary. People are having much more, belief in the judiciary rather than any other person. That is the reason whenever it comes to the, these works or say the judiciary, so it will be accepted by the people do accept it, people do respect it without having any problem. So dear students, today we did discuss about the political executive, political and permanent executive, who is the prime, what are the powers given to the prime minister and council of ministers, how he is appointed, etc. We did even discuss about the president and then the judiciary. Dear students, with this we have finished the chapter, that is the working of institutions. If you have any doubt, you can ask me anytime. And as with this we have finished the portion of your political science, or say democratic politics, okay. So we have finished this portion, okay. So the remaining things will be discussed in the next class. Thank you so much for your patience, dear students. Have a great day.